Your GitHub project is probably invisible. I know that stings, but I've spent over 5 years building open source projects, and here's what I've learned. 99% of projects die, not because the code is bad, but because developers keep making the same 3 critical mistakes. My TikTok API project has over 5,000 stars and 2 million downloads. But here's what's crazy. I've built other projects that were technically superior, more innovative, and took me way longer to build, and they got 0 traction. The first rule is if people aren't already searching for your solution, you're building in the wrong direction. Most developers build what they think is cool, not what people are desperately trying to find answers to online. When I started TikTok API, I wasn't trying to build the most elegant API wrapper. Honestly, the first version was shamefully messy. I just wanted to scrape trending TikTok videos for making YouTube compilations. But here's what happened. I threw the scraping logic on GitHub and basically forgot about it. 3 months later, I started getting emails from people saying they've been wanting to collect TikTok data and couldn't find anything else like this. Here's what this taught me. I had accidentally solved the problem that hundreds of people were actively searching for. Want proof? The phrase TikTok API gets around 15,000 monthly searches according to Ubersuggest. The demand was there, I just stumbled into it. Here's a quick test. Google your project's problem right now. Maybe try 5 different ways to phrase it. If you're not actively finding posts asking about your problem, you might be building a solution looking for a problem. The second rule is that every barrier to using your project is a nail in its coffin. The biggest killer isn't bad code, it's friction. People abandon projects the moment they hit any roadblock. For TikTok API, I obsessed with eliminating friction. Installation, 2 simple commands. Pip install TikTok API and a playwright install command. Done. I also chose Python because my audience likely already had it installed. If I'd built it in Rust or another programming language, it would have been a much harder sell and likely just less people would have used it. For documentation, I think having working examples that run immediately, not just API docs, is super important. I have an examples folder with demos that are both easy to run and actually useful for my audience. Contributing, I think keep it simple, have a friendly tone, and as a result, people will contribute. For TikTok API, I've kept true to this and I've had over 50 people contribute to my project. And here's what this taught me. People don't want to read documentation. They want to copy, paste, and see results instantly. Think about the last time you tried using an open source project and, well, just, gave up. What stopped you? That's exactly what we need to eliminate from our own projects. The third and final rule is if your audience can't find you, your project doesn't exist to them. Most developers choose some abstract, clever name that sounds cool but helps nobody find their projects. TikTok API works especially well because people will literally search for the term TikTok API. And as a result, I've been second in Google search results for over 3 years. But here's the deeper insight. You don't just want to create a project, you want to create an ecosystem around it. For TikTok API, I made YouTube tutorials, blog posts, example projects, and used GitHub topic tags that align with what people search for. Here's what this taught me. Multiple entry points all leading back to your project is way more powerful than hoping people just stumble across your README. And here's something else I've noticed. There's this interesting threshold around 100 stars where things start to snowball. Whether it's GitHub's algorithm kicking in or just social proof at work, growth accelerates. It's like hitting a tipping point where your project starts to market itself. Honestly, I've been exactly where you are. I've spent 6 months building something I thought would be brilliant, only to watch it get 3 stars from my friends. I've also completely burned out on open source before and questioned whether it was worth it. But then, out of the blue, someone will email me saying they used TikTok API for a research project, or a teacher saying that they used it to help design a more engaging curriculum. That's when I remember why I started, to build things that actually help people. And look, these 3 rules, validating demand, eliminating friction, and being discoverable, are what separated TikTok API from my failed projects. The difference between a project that gets 10 stars and one that gets 10,000 isn't just code quality. Building great software is probably 70% of the equation, but the other 30% is understanding your users, eliminating friction, and being discoverable. Most developers have the engineering part down, but it's time to master the other 30%. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one rule that resonates with your current project, then spend 2 hours this week implementing an improvement in the area and drop a comment on which rule you chose and what you did. If this helped you see open source differently, hit subscribe. I share whatever I'm working on, whether it's technical deep dives, career lessons, or just weird stuff I've learned across the way. If you want a more detailed breakdown of these rules with examples and checklists, I wrote up a blog post. The link's in the description. And thank you for watching.